Just a quick video, guys. I have been doing a clean up of the face of the thermostat, and there goes my scraper. I didn't end up using that. I was just looking at number 2. Now if you look at all 4 of them, okay, number 2 seems to be a bit gunky at the bottom, but it's scraped off quite nicely. Depth, they're all pretty even, to be honest with you. There's a the bore's being cleaned up with carb cleaner. They tell you not to do that, but I've never known a problem from what people have said about doing this, to be honest. It is good to get rid of the carbon build-up, because essentially a big layer of carbon here like this, even though it's very thin, I can actually feel the texture. It can actually lower your compression, because essentially that takes space inside the actual combustion chamber, the bore. So you're not going to have as much bang for your buck, because there's not as much space, because it's being occupied. This is why driving your car on long journeys is a good thing, because it does burn this excess carbon off, so you won't have this. In fact, I'd say on cars that are driven mainly on motorway driving, there's no carbon at all. I mean, newer cars are much better, they don't burn as much carbon, they're quite clean in that sense, but older engines are quite dirty. The K series, yes, it was an advanced engine, but it is an old engine, so you'd expect this sort of stuff. Yeah, it's cleaned up pretty well, there's no real marks to tell. The only thing I will say is that there has been some witness marks left by the rings. The rings are quite thin on these. But yep, that's all done, and I'll put some cling film over and we're finished. Right, the other half to this is obviously the head itself. After using quite a few cans of carb cleaner, I'm pretty happy with that surface. Now, it is important that you use a plastic scraper. There was a lot of, you can see some slight witness marks here where you've got bits of the old gasket. There's still tiny fractions of amount. I mean, we're talking tiny here. I really wouldn't worry about that whatsoever. I will thoroughly clean it and go over it again, but everything is nice and even. I'm pretty satisfied, it's very clean. The other side, if I just tilt this up, we're still getting a few drops coming through, but it's quite clean. So you got bits like that down there that I just want to remove, but it's pretty clean. Bits in the corners, but at the end of the day, it's good. I'm very happy with that. Kev, shout out to you. You asked me what degreaser I use. That's the degreaser I use. Sorry, I think this video has gone out quite a bit later than when you asked, but that's the stuff I use. I mean, I buy it in 5 litres, and I think I've got half of it left. I'll put it into like a spray bottle, get some spray bottles, and I think that's how you can sort of use that a bit more wisely. It's not expensive stuff, and I prefer to buy it by the litre, you know, 5 litres instead of, you know, the odd 1 or 2. I think with things like brake cleaner, degreaser, stuff like that, I always buy it in bulk, at least 5 litres, because you're going to use it. It's a bit of a expensive thing to keep buying the aerosol cans of brake cleaner, or unless it's convenient, and the degreasers that you get in aerosol spray cans, it's just not worth it. And a good brush. That is a stiff brush. It's meant for alloy wheels. I have used it as a degreasing brush, but we'll give it a bit of a clean up before. We have got loads of bits and pieces which I've organised into various pieces, and if I show you on the floor, we have numerous amounts of engine bits all being cleaned up, ready to go back in. Come around here, repaired alternator, and those little bits and pieces on the floor, and the inlet manifold. But we're doing well. We're doing very well indeed. So onwards and upwards.